So, just finished up the Hobie iTrek 11 modifications that I did down at Innovative Sportsman. What we did was we put some H-rails on the inflatable kayak. We did that using the YakAttack SwitchPads and the Hobie H-rail kits. The boat is an awesome platform, and you know, there's not many things that I need to do or needed to do to make it better, but this is definitely one aspect for tournament fishing. I believe that, you know, it kind of adds that feature of being able to have a barrier of your fish so it doesn't jump out. And I'll explain what I'm talking about with that. It also, there's, you know, it allows the opportunity for you to add in some horizontal rod storage, which I think is incredibly important when you're fishing in a river system, or anywhere where there might be overhanging trees over the banks and stuff. And I also threw in an area on the front, one of the YakAttack SwitchPads. I put one of those up there for an eyelet for an anchor, the anchor rope. One thing I do have left to do with that is I need to put some sort of protective layer of material on the front where the rope would come up over the front of the boat, because I don't want the rope to, you know, burn in or you know, wear on the inflatable material in that location. So I definitely need to do that. But without further ado, I mean, let's just show you what we did. We'll start up here at the front. We have a switch pad right here on the front, and then I'll need to put the protective layer somewhere right there on that seam where you can see. Moving back, what I'm going to put here is probably a Hobie cooler, and that'll be for my drinks and food and anything else that I'm taking with me on the water. And I have that Hobie cooler sitting over here on the other side of my garage, but it's, you know, it's not ready to be installed yet. I need to get the attachments for that. But you see the H-rails on both sides, and you see how they're set up there. You got switch pads to a LockNLoad base with a right angle adapter. That's how I decided to set those up. Those are all YakAttack products right there. And you know, it worked out really well. And then obviously I have the H-rails. They come back to another location right here. Basically the same setup as before on the front. And I'm going to run a few different things on this H-rail. This one I think is going to be for a camera mount for a YakAttack boomstick. And then I'm going to angle that backward just a little bit, because it won't need to be high up as it is on my Pro Angler, because I'll get a better angle view. And on the other side here, you can see it set up again the same way. I put the paddle holder, the YakAttack roto grips with the clips that go over those on that side. And this H-rail actually has the track down the middle of it. This was part of the H-rail kit that they sell for the Hobie Lynx. I actually purchased that from the dugout, and I used one section of it for the front bar on my Pro Angler where I mounted my fish finder. This H-rail actually came off of a boat that was no longer in service, and I actually got that from the Delaware Paddle Sports. I think it's going to be pretty cool, because when I'm fishing in a tournament, I'll be able to lay the net up against this as I'm measuring my fish right here in this space. And that's a key aspect for me, because when you're on an inflatable boat, or even the Lynx, or any other kind of paddle board that doesn't have walls, there's no barrier for that fish. If that fish was to flop off the board, they could just slide right into the water. and that, you know, could be a very bad deal if you're fishing in a tournament. So that was a key aspect that I wanted to ensure that I had, you know, figured out. And those H rails there are going to allow me to do that. They are completely removable. So if in travel I want to take them off, they will come right up out, and then they lock back into place like so, and then they're locked. They won't come out. But, you know, I can attach a fish finder if I wanted to onto this. I could attach one of the tackle bins, which there's potential for that. I may put one of the tackle bins there on the side of it with, specifically, I like the one with the auto retractor in it. That way I could put my pliers and scissors onto it. The last thing I want to do is have scissors floating around on the deck of an inflatable boat. I just feel like that could be a bad situation. Back here, once I get it, I plan on getting one of the YakAttack new Black Pack Pros, and I'm going to have one of those back here with the clips that will clip into that. I have a second set right there. That's going to be my tackle storage on this watercraft, and you know, that'll be nice because those things are pretty cool design. They really put a lot of thought and effort into that. So, and one thing that a lot of people don't think of is this. This is basically like sunscreen for your boat. UV protectant and restorer. This is going to be applied to the boat, you know, as the directions say. Clean the surface with a pre-cleaner, and then apply the protectant with a clean rag and a buff. Do it every 30 days for sun when it's, you know, getting sun exposure. So probably June through August, whenever I'll be using this boat the most in the river, that will probably happen at a minimum. It'll happen once a month onto all the surfaces that are exposed to sun, because I don't want my boat to get skin cancer. So, but yeah, that's it. She's a little dirty right now from being in the shop. When we were down at Trey Leach's house, we, you know, moved it in there and did everything. So, and you see there in the background, the I-11S she's all ready and getting ready to be delivered to her new owner this week. So, but yeah, there it is. I'm going to kind of give or you may have already seen it, the detailed description of how these were installed. I didn't include a lot of audio from the shop because, you know, what we talk about in the shop stays in the shop. But, you know, we at least went over the step-by-step process of how to install these. You know, and I'll do it again real quick. So the biggest thing you want to do is make sure the surface is warm and, you know, warm to touch. You want it to be warm just because it helps the glue set a little better. And then you want to mark the area where you want it to be. And we did that with painter's tape. As you can see, some of the remnants of that tape is still left here. That will come off. But you mark it with tape, and then you sand the area up of both the boat and the underside of the switch pad. Heat those areas up as well, the under area of this, and then you apply the cement, the vinyl cement, to both surfaces of where you want it to be, and that should be outlined with your tape that you marked with. And then you apply the switch pad to that area, and you basically hold it in place. On a rounded surface, it's a little bit more difficult because you have, you know, the rounded edge that you have to hold it down. But when you heat it up, that really makes it a lot easier to work with this material. This is a pretty pliable material anyway, but heated up, it just makes it a little bit easier to bend and hold into place, and it doesn't want to come back to flat. So that's why, you know, the switch pads are so nice, because they are a little bit more pliable. But so then you apply, you know, you apply the pressure to it, you hold it down, and of course after that it should stick and allow you to put, what we did was we put some Gorilla Tape on it to hold it into place. Obviously, I have a little bit of cleanup here that we got off target there, but you know, can't be perfect. There has to be a little bit of character to the boat. But you know, you hold it down, and then you take the Gorilla Tape and you basically tape the edges down so it doesn't want to fold up off of the surface. You leave that set for a few hours, and then you just take the Gorilla Tape off and then let it cure for about 24 hours. And you know, you want to do that with each area where you're going to be putting stuff. You know, wherever you put a switch pad, you want to make sure that you do, you know, you take those steps with it. So, but there she is. That's what it's going to look like. And like I said, there's going to be a couple more things added, nothing major, but that's going to be it.